What's good? Today, not on the charts. Just gonna talk about news. Um, what news not to trade, when to trade, blah blah blah, all that bullshit. Um, so first off, if it's any red folder, right? So this or this, do not trade through that bitch. Any red folder, I don't give a fuck. This is 10 a.m., right? Market opens at 9:30, right? Ideally, we are in a trade at 10 a.m., right? I do not take a trade. Do not take a trade until this fucking news comes out. Um, so that's like a red folder example. Um, let's see. Now, if there's a red folder later on the day, like this, I would not trade this day at all. Unless you see a setup that's this day, I definitely wouldn't trade because we have 10 a.m. So you couldn't trade the first 30 minutes, and then by the time it's 10 a.m., we're like already kind of getting late to that point, and then you have news at 1 p.m. And the reason why I say this is because so obviously, basically before news comes out, we're gonna be choppy. Um, People are not gonna be trading, right? So before as you get closer to red folder news, the choppier price is going to be. Once red folder news comes out, then it's different. Okay. But if this red folder news was something like unemployment claims or manufacturing PMI, it wouldn't matter. Okay. But there are some red folder news folders that if they're there, do not fucking trade them. So, red folder CPI, never trade that. Red folder PPI, never trade that. And red folder FOMC, and then also red folder Federal Chairman Powell speaking, or sometimes sometimes red folder Trump speaking. Even if red folder Trump speaking. So, like the president speaking. Those I would not, if they're later in the day, I would not take a trade that day at all. Because those are really, 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 unless it's like 2 a.m. during like fucking Asia session or some bullshit. Like this day, this is a perfect trading day, right? We have news at 8:30 a.m. pre-market, perfect. We do have a orange folder 10 a.m. You can trade through orange folder. It's not that big of a deal. This day, once again, perfect trading day. You have news throughout the whole day to keep the volatility up. It's only yellow folder, so it won't do too much. And then you have pre-market news. Perfect day again. This day, I would not trade this day. This is red folder FOMC. We would just be choppy. We would literally be chop work. This is a perfect trading day. If it's a bank holiday, do not trade, period. Okay, so this is a Monday, right? Bank holiday. So this was Memorial Day. And the reason why I say that is so what moves the markets, right? Market makers, right? Who the fuck are market makers? Fucking banks. Okay. So if we are on a holiday like Memorial Day, but July the 4th is coming up now. So July the 4th would be a bank holiday. If it's a bank holiday, do not trade at all. There will be zero volatility in the market. The number one, like the people that move the markets the most are banks, right? So if banks aren't trading that day, like what the fuck do you think is going to move the markets? Fucking retail traders? No, right? So if it's a bank holiday, then do not trade that whole entire day. Market will be straight chop work the whole day. There'll be no volatility. There'll just be nothing. So if you see bank holiday, do not trade. There's just no volatility that whole entire day. So this day, perfect trading day. This day, what would you do? Wait until 9:45 and then you could look for a trade. 9:45 news is low-key not that bad, not big of a deal because market opens 15 minutes prior, so not a big deal. This is just pre-market news, so it doesn't even matter anyways. Could trade this day. Now, this is Trump speaking at 3. I would have to see a good setup for me to enter. Sometimes you'll have to make like these calls where it's like it needs to be a good setup for you to enter, and this would be one of those calls because Trump is pretty big fucking deal. But this is at 3 p.m., so it's very late. It's an hour before market closes actually. So I would probably trade this day since Trump's speaking so late. It's not like 1 p.m. or anything. You still could even trade PM session. This day, fine. Just gotta wait till after 10 a.m. then you can trade. Now this day, this is where Most likely, I would not trade this day, period, because PPI and CPI and red folder FOMC can really, really mess up the markets like for the day. These CPI and PPI news, they will create a Drake candle that's like you've never seen before. Okay, so this this would form a Drake candle. This would form a Drake candle. Okay, and plus with all this too, this would be a crazy Drake candle at 8:30. Okay, so and sometimes when you have a crazy Drake candle like that, what does market do for the rest of the day? It's going to try to restabilize itself to make the market move more efficient, right? There'll be a bunch of inefficiencies everywhere and the market's going to go back to them so it can move more efficiently. So this day, I would check on the chart, right? If that candle is a huge Drake candle, I would get off the charts. But if it's not and price, like you let 15 minutes more go, like for example, this is at 8:30 and 8:40, right? So I probably would just wake up at 9, so 30 minutes before market opens. If from 9 to 9:15 and price action is like decent and this wasn't like a crazy Drake candle, I would trade this day. But if this is a crazy Drake candle, I would get off the charts for that day. I would trade this day for sure. Same thing right here. I would wait till Trump speaks here. I'm not gonna lie, because especially since Trump is a crazy motherfucker, this shit could just it could just be stagnant until he talks and then some crazy shit because he be yapping. But for example, if this Trump news wasn't here, I would wake up at 9, see this candle. If it's a huge Drake candle and price is choppy after, I'd get off the day. If it's not that big of a candle, it's looking like 2.3% negative and then negative and then negative. This would definitely be a Drake candle. So I wouldn't traded this day because I would have seen this Drake candle. The market was probably choppy after, and then Trump speaks shortly after. I would not trade this day. Yeah, just let Trump finish yapping, and I'll trade this day. This is a Sunday. Okay. So this Friday. Okay, now when it looks like this, I probably wouldn't trade this day because we just have so many FOMC members yapping. And they really could just, I don't know. I'd have to see the setup. Sometimes, like I said, it just depends on the setup. You'll need to see, it needs to be a really good setup for you to enter. This day, I wouldn't wait till Trump finishes yapping. I probably wouldn't trade this day because of FOMC. Market will just, as we get closer to FOMC, market is just going to get choppier and choppier. Trade this day. This is a good trading day. And just wait till that comes out at 10 a.m. and trade after that. We'll do 2 more weeks. So yeah, this is pre-market. It doesn't matter. So let this come out. It doesn't matter. Trade after 10 a.m. Trade after 10 a.m. 8 p.m. is so late that it just doesn't matter. This would not matter because 8 p.m. is so late it just wouldn't matter. And these two are pre-market, so just trade after 10 a.m. Once again, 6 p.m. is really late, so just trade after 10 a.m. again. Monday, no news. Now, about no news. News, yellow folder news and orange folder news also bring volatility to the markets, right? Because people are going to be trading on news, right? So when there is no news, it needs to be an A+ setup. No news is not a good thing. It's not. Some people will be like, let's go, no news. I can trade whenever I want. Usually it means that there's less volatility in the market. So if you do see a no news day, it has to be a good setup. It needs to be a really good setup. And price needs to be able to move cleanly. So like for this day, I would make sure price action was good. I would make sure that an A+ setup formed. I would make sure everything is perfect. It needs to be perfect conditions. And then I would enter, which most likely, obviously, market does not give many of those perfect opportunities. So that day probably wouldn't have ended in a trade. This day, you could trade whenever you wanted. This is pre-market, and you can trade through 10 a.m. Wait till 9:45 news comes out and then trade. Fine. You can trade this whole day. You can trade this whole day. We'll do 1 more week, and then we'll do a little recap. You can trade this whole day. Pre-market, so it don't matter, but you can trade this whole day. I would not trade this day. Federal Chairman Powell speaks at 1, so Same thing. As we get closer to one, prices is going to get choppier and choppier and choppier because we're waiting for the news to bring us volatility. So I probably would not trade this day since 1 p.m. is kind of on the earlier side. Could trade this day and could trade this day. We'll do one more week. I keep saying that, but same thing. For this day, I'd wake up at 9. If this is a Drake candle and price is choppier after, I would get off the charts immediately. But if this candle was not that oh yeah, no, so this was definitely a Drake candle because you can see that the forecast was 0.3% and 0.2%, and we weren't even close. We got negative 0.1 and negative 0.4. So this was definitely like a big red Drake candle to the downside. And what probably happens after, price is probably chop work after, so the whole day I would get off. But hypothetically, let's say that candle was not a Drake candle and it wasn't anything crazy. Boom, and I would wait 30 minutes after. If price looked like it was moving fine and like price action was good, then boom, I could start looking for a trade after this 10 a.m. red folder. Same thing. Perfect example. This CPI, wait for it to wake up at 9. If it's a Drake candle and price is choppy after, get off. If you wake up at 9, the candle isn't anything crazy and price is looking clean after, you can go ahead and trade this day. So it really just depends on CPI, PPI, and red folder FOMC. This is red folder FOMC at 2. This is kind of late. So for this day, I would want to take the trade early. So I'd probably get off earlier. I usually if I don't see a trade by 11, I'm off. On this day, it would probably be 10:30. So if I don't see a trade by 10:30, then I'd probably be off. Trade this day because 6:45 p.m. That's really late, so it doesn't matter. And could trade this day. So yeah, that's every type of folder news that really comes out. Quick little recap. Never trade through any red folder. Always wait for it to come out. If it's red folder FOMC, PPI, or CPI, you have to let it happen. Wait for it to fucking go. And if it's a Drake candle and price is choppy after, get off for the day. Don't trade. If it didn't do much effect to the market and price action is like clean, you can go ahead and trade that day. Yellow folder, orange folder don't really matter, and never trade on the bank holiday because there'll be no volatility. That's everything you should really know about news. Check the news every day. You never want to be surprised and like, boom, you entered a position and then like you literally just see a Drake candle and get stopped out and you're like, what the fuck, right? And you're like, wait, did I check news? You check news, you realize there's news cooked you. So, always check that shit. Number one shit you want to check. So, oh yeah, and if there is no news at all, let price play out. If price action is clean and you see an A+ setup, go ahead and enter. But usually no news Mondays are not really the best type of thing you want to see because no news means less volatility, which is similar effect to a bank holiday, which is obviously not good. So, yep, that's everything about news. I hope all of that made sense. If y'all boys have any questions, just let me know. And yeah, I'll catch y'all. See y'all boys.